Everything was already in place long before the first shot was fired, as a small squad of American soldiers slowly made its way through the dense jungle toward a series of Japanese bunkers carved deep into the earth, positioned so well hidden and fortified that artillery and grenades had failed to neutralize them for days, forcing the infantry to attempt something far more dangerous and personal. There was no shouting, no last-minute commands, just a brief glance between men who understood exactly what needed to happen. Because in moments like these, hesitation meant death. And when the signal was finally given, gunfire erupted from all directions at once, bullets tearing into bunker openings, while mortars shook the ground and smoke grenades filled the air, all of it designed to distract, suppress, and confuse the defenders long enough for one soldier to move forward unnoticed. What the Japanese soldiers inside the bunker did not realize was that the real danger was already standing just meters away, carrying a weapon that had earned one of the darkest reputations of the entire war. And when the flamethrower finally ignited with its unmistakable roar, the battle was effectively over before anyone inside could react. Within seconds, fire poured into the bunker entrance, followed by explosives that sealed the position completely. And after the chaos faded, silence returned, broken only by smoke rising from the earth and the unmistakable smell of burning, confirming that nothing inside had survived. The flamethrower operator lived through this assault, but survival was never guaranteed because men assigned to this role had one of the shortest life expectancies on the battlefield, sometimes measured in minutes rather than days, making every mission a calculated gamble with death. In the Pacific theatre of World War II, the Japanese military relied heavily on deeply fortified defensive positions that were often built into hillsides, caves, and reinforced bunkers, making them extremely difficult to destroy using conventional weapons, as artillery shells frequently exploded harmlessly above ground, while grenades bounced off reinforced entrances without causing serious damage. These positions were designed not only to withstand bombardment, but also to force attacking soldiers into close-range combat, where defenders could ambush them from concealed firing ports and tunnel exits, often reappearing behind advancing troops without warning. Faced with these conditions, Allied forces were left with limited options, and flamethrowers, despite their dangers, became one of the few tools capable of clearing these defences effectively. Not because they were precise or humane, but because they denied the enemy any possibility of continued resistance. However, the idea of using fire as a weapon did not originate in the 20th century, as armies had understood its psychological and destructive power for centuries. Long before the invention of modern flamethrowers, fire had already earned its place as one of the most feared weapons in human history, with one of the earliest examples being Greek fire, a mysterious incendiary substance used by the Byzantine Empire as early as the 7th century. This weapon was capable of burning even on water, making it especially devastating during naval battles, and while historians believe it may have been composed of materials such as naphtha and quicklime, its exact formula was lost to time, adding to its almost mythical status in military history. The terror inspired by Greek fire demonstrated a lesson that armies would remember for generations. That fire not only destroyed physical structures, but also shattered morale in ways that conventional weapons could not. Yet, it would take the industrialized warfare of the 20th century for fire to be transformed into a portable battlefield weapon. The modern flamethrower first appeared during World War I, when German forces introduced it in 1915 as a weapon designed to break the deadly stalemate of trench warfare, allowing attackers to clear enemy trenches without exposing themselves to prolonged gunfire. Early flamethrowers were crude, heavy, and extremely dangerous to operate, often requiring two soldiers, one to carry the fuel tanks and another to control the nozzle, making them slow and vulnerable targets. These early designs were also prone to malfunction, and in some cases proved just as lethal to friendly troops as to the enemy, with one infamous incident involving a sudden shift in wind direction that caused flames to be blown back onto French soldiers, killing dozens instantly. Despite these risks, the psychological effect of flamethrowers was undeniable, as enemy troops often abandoned their positions at the mere sight of the weapon, unwilling to face what they knew would follow. For soldiers targeted by a flamethrower, the experience was unlike any other weapon on the battlefield, as the combination of fire, heat, smoke and noise created an overwhelming sensory assault that left little chance for escape. Inside enclosed spaces such as bunkers and pillboxes, flames consumed oxygen rapidly, causing suffocation even for those who were not directly touched by the fire, while the smoke produced contained deadly levels of carbon monoxide, capable of killing soldiers minutes after exposure. Survivors often suffered severe burns, requiring extensive medical care. And even when physical recovery was possible, the psychological scars left by such attacks proved far more difficult to heal, with nightmares and flashbacks haunting many veterans long after the war ended. The flamethrower did not need to kill everyone to succeed, as its mere presence was often enough to force defenders to abandon their positions. Once a flamethrower operator stepped into action, the entire battlefield seemed to focus on eliminating him, as enemy soldiers understood the devastating impact the weapon could have if allowed to reach their defences. On Iwo Jima, casualty rates among flamethrower units reached as high as 92%, highlighting just how dangerous the role truly was, as operators relied heavily on their fellow soldiers for cover and support in order to survive long enough to complete their mission. Captured flamethrower operators often faced grim fates, as their weapon made them especially feared and despised, with many being executed upon capture or subjected to harsh treatment. One account from Iwo Jima describes an operator whose flamethrower malfunctioned during an assault, leaving him defenseless as Japanese soldiers rushed from a cave and captured him alive, and for 2 days his comrades could hear sounds from within the cave, a reminder of the brutal consequences of being taken prisoner. The American M2 Flamethrower represented a significant advancement in design, weighing approximately 70 pounds when fully loaded and capable of projecting fire up to 40 yards, allowing operators to engage enemy positions from a slightly safer distance than earlier models. It consisted of 2 main tanks, one holding thickened flammable fuel, and the other containing pressurized gas used to propel the fuel, with a handheld wand allowing the operator to control the flow and ignition of the flame. Each burst lasted only a few seconds, but that was often all that was required to clear a bunker or trench, making the weapon both efficient and terrifying in its effectiveness.